How to make quantum leaps in your life, your business, your finances, your health, your relationships, and most importantly, your happiness. If you guys are watching this module, congratulations. Please don't move forward until you fully watch this video, take notes, and also complete the homework that I'm about to ask you to do towards the end of this video. This section in itself will set the foundation, the course of everything that you do in order to produce the greatest outcome within this program. I've been wanting to start this program for quite some time now, and let me tell you, this truly aligns with the purpose of my life that I've experienced and seen dramatic changes within the past 12 months of my life. And I know the content that you guys are going to be learning is going to do the same for you too, is to change your life for the better. To me, this program is more than just credit and funding, and it's deeper than that. Credit and funding are just the tools that will help you accelerate your path to financial success. And you'll see what I mean in the next slide. But before we start, it is important for us to look at the bigger and broader picture of exactly why I do what I do and why you do what you do, and put everything into perspective, right? So on the left-hand side, we have a chart of the life of a typical American. And if you look at the biggest shaded area, which is the one in the middle with the red shading, essentially what that translates to is that we spent 60% of our lifetime in our working careers, meaning we spend 60% of our lifetime chasing and trying to make money. And to me, it's a fact that making any quantum leaps in your life, rather it's happiness, in your business, your finances, you will need to buy back more time. So the mission of this program on a deeper level, right, if you really dig deeper into the reason why I started this, is to help you guys accelerate your finances and income in order for you to accelerate every other areas in your life, so you can buy back the time that you will have otherwise wasted by simply because you want to chase money, right? So what does that mean? It means if we can cookie cutter this process where we solve our money problem and we increase our net worth to a point where it allows us to make passive income and retire earlier, that allow us to buy back a lot more time instead of waiting till we're 65 and a half to retire. So that's the true definition of what I'm trying to, conceptualize here. And with that being said, we are going to look at our lifetime here on Earth on a chart. So the easiest way to explain this is, and this is also part of your homework, is I want you guys to screenshot this or even type in on Google a 90-year human life in weeks. And what you want to do is simply go on Photoshop or on Canva.com, upload the photo and start shading, obviously with a highlighter, the amount of blocks that is directly correlated with your current age. So as you can see, each block represents a week in your life. For me, on the left-hand side, I'm currently 24 years old. So you can see I shaded all the way up to where the 24 years blocks are located on. For you guys, whatever your age might be, we have people that are over the age of 30. We have some that are over the age of 40. Some that are younger than me, around 18 to 20. Make sure to fill in those following blocks and also print this sheet out, because this will put everything into perspective of why we do what we do, and everything else that will set the course of how to make quantum leaps in your life. All right. So what we're going to do is actually pull up one of my Instagram posts where I literally did posted this on my Instagram feed. And this is one of the motivation tactics, but it can consider very dark too. And the reason why is because this is reality. We might think we have a lot of time on earth, but as each and every single day that passes by, each and every single week that passes by, we are losing every block of the life that we have here on earth. The best way to create focus, motivation, and drive is to start by being realistic about how life actually works. And this actually gets me zoned in every single time. Again, each of those blocks represents a week in my life. And as you can see, I already spent a quarter of my life existing, and the rest is how much time I have left. What motivates me more than anything, and you probably don't want to think about it, is your death. And what I came to realize in my teenage years and early 20s is that I feel like I have an abundance of time. And that's what a lot of people will tell you as well, that you are young, you have a lot of time left on this earth, don't stress about life, etc. I call that bullshit. An infinite amount, and that you can always delay putting off something, especially becoming the person that you want to become. But I'm here to tell you the fucking dark truth. Something that you guys should consider taking into heart. The cold hard truth that will make you rethink about everything that you do is that you don't really have any time to mess around anymore. Because when you actually think about the time that you have left on earth, and suddenly you're going to be reminded that you don't have a lot of time, that life is very short. And especially, living in Vegas, I see accidents happen every single day. Cars flipping, like these are crazy accidents that people's life are just disappearing. And it's just crazy to think how, some of these drivers are younger than me, or sometimes they are just passing their life and dying at the age of 35, 40, which is, halfway through of where I am. So, statistically speaking, 5 to 10 years to become the person that you want to be is a lot of effort, I know. But 5 to 10 years of just changing and becoming exactly that person you want to be and sticking to it, it's going to take roughly 10,000 hours of perfection in order to do so. So, moral of the story here is the longer that you wait to do that, to get your life handed, the more of these blocks are going to be shaded away. If you wake up every single morning and look at the amount of blocks you have left compared to the blocks that's already filled, you'll realize that you spent a whole lot of time wasting it. And the truth of the matter is you have to look back and think about how much you would pay to get those days back when you turn 70. If you ask Warren Buffett if he would pay or even give up 90% of his net worth to buy back 20 or even 10 years of the time that he has left on this earth, his answer will be fucking yes. All right. So put this into perspective. Ask yourself, how much would I pay to go back in time while putting yourself into the position where you are at 70 years old? How much would I pay to go back and not waste those days, those times? Because again, time is finite. Lost time is never found, and you can't keep today's hour for tomorrow. We all know that, but still tend to procrastinate. All right. A lot of great comments on this post. It's a post that is worth remembering. If you click on the inside, I think I have over 78 people that actually saved this post. I have people that message me asking for the screenshot or a blank worksheet of this. So again, if you guys want to do this exercise, I highly recommend it. It's mandatory because it puts your life into perspective. It puts you back into the correct spot that you need to be every time you lose track. So I highly recommend that you guys do this exercise. Going back to the PowerPoint, now we understand, the framework and some of the principles, and also a reality check of why I'm doing what I'm doing and why you guys are in this program in the first place. Let's set some expectations moving forward. Setting expectations will help us eliminate or reduce confusion and increase the chances of us being successful in achieving the goals that are set for you guys. And to be clear, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is going to require work, dedication, time, and patience to see any sort of life-changing results. It is going to take consistency. It is going to take efforts. It is going to take you being uncomfortable doing the things that I'm asking you to do. Because at the end of the day, if you guys want to see results, you guys have to change exactly everything that you're currently doing to something else. So, want to set this clear? This is not an MLM, get rich quick scheme. This is not a crypto play where you just put money and you're going to see a fat 50x return within the next couple days. This is going to take patience, something you have to understand. In life, everything is going to take time. Nothing comes easy. If it comes easy, everybody will be successful right now. So, keep this in the back of your mind. Number 2, how you do one thing is how you do fill in the blank. Everything. Leave all of your bad habits behind. Things will change in this program for the better. I find this to be a simple yet effective reminder to strive to do right by myself every time. Your work ethic, your attitude follows you everywhere. Be that person that our team and other people respect. If you guys are late doing these coaching calls, if you guys are late and don't inform me on any of the onboarding calls and follow-up calls that we have, it just shows that in other areas of your life, you're not you're not taking responsibility. You're not owning up to the person that you want to become. So make sure, especially in this program, leave all of your bad habits behind. If you are someone that normally shows up late, I don't want that bullshit here. This program is to help you, again, take quantum leaps, not in your finances, not only in your finances, but every other areas of your life. We're here to make you a better person. And the first thing that you can do, again, leave all of the bad habits behind. Talk to me how you want other people to talk to you. Show respect, be nice, and at the end of the day, put in the effort to make everything happen. Number 3, trust my team and trust me most importantly. This is a proven system that I've built out and that the team have helped me build out in the past couple years. This is something that we have duplicated over and over for 500 of the clients that we work with. Nothing in here is cookie cutter. You need to take action and don't apply for anything, especially for funding, or do things on your own until we get you funded. I've seen a lot of people that actually applied for a mortgage, apply for a car loan before going through funding without my consent. Again, this is a proven system that I built out. If you guys are just going out and doing the things that you wanted to do without asking me, I can't really help you. You're not trusting the process within this program. So again, to be clear, follow all the instructions that's been given in this course. I break it down as simple as possible for you guys. And I truly recommend that if you guys are planning to do anything with your credit before funding, make sure to consult with me or one of the team members first. Get the green light, then move forward with it. If not, then I can't really help you. Your success really comes down to how you do something and the information that we ask you to follow with this program itself. And the last but not least, and this falls under number 2, is respect our time and effort. We're human beings too, right? We're not machines. I can't answer all your phone calls. I can't answer all your texts at any time that you desire. I'm not your friend. I'm your coach. I'm someone that you paid to fulfill a service. So treat me with respect, and I'll do the same with you. Don't call me out of the ordinary. Send me a text or schedule a call with me. Again, I am also human. Our team is also human. So don't forget about that. Your values, principles, beliefs, and mindsets shapes who you are and what you will become. Understanding what influence your attitude, thoughts, belief, mindset, and actions will dramatically help you change the course of your career, your life, and everything that you do in respect to success. So what does that mean? If you look at what you do every single day, if you look at the daily consistent actions or habits that you have every single day, and you look at the results of that, are you content with it, or are you actually someone that is against the result that you're getting based on your action? If you're someone that is against the results, or you're not getting the results that you're looking for, it's mainly because of your action. But in this context, we are looking 2 extra layer deep in what influence those actions to dictate your results, and also the lifestyle within your finances, health, business, personal development, and relationships. And that is your philosophy, what you believe in, what your values, what your beliefs, what your principles are. And that ultimately dictate your attitude towards working on your business, your attitude towards going to the gym, your attitude towards building a better relationship with your girlfriend, your family members, your friends, your family, your employees. And that attitude dictate how you present those actions, positive or negative actions. Positive actions leads to positive results, and that's why you see your daily actions compounded over time is going to significantly go with you or go against you. And that's why 95% of the time people fail. It's because they don't understand the deeper layer of what influenced their actions first and foremost. And to give you guys a little bit more example, some of the external influences that you might not have even thought of comes from the environment, the type of content that you consume, the food that you consume, the type of people you follow on social media, listening to or taking advice from, your limiting beliefs from society, and also the people that you hang out with, right? So I'm sure you guys have heard of the quote, you're the average of the 5 people that you hang out the most with. If you hang out with losers, what does that make you? A fucking loser. If you hang out with people that are making 100K per month, you're probably going to be the average of that. You're probably going to make 100K per month. It's because their actions, their attitudes, their belief is going to start, coming to you. Meaning everything that they do is going to be empowered to what you will become. And you will become the average of those people that you surround yourself with. And that's why, for me personally, whenever I head back home, and I love my friends to death, I'm not going to lie. But whenever I surround myself with them, the type of conversation that they have, the type of mentality, it's not where I want to take my life. In that sense, it's very toxic, and I feel like I'm losing brain cells every time I have those type of conversation, or every time I'm part of those type of environment. Another example is your environment, right? This is why I got the nicest high rise in Vegas once I moved from Hawaii. And if you guys don't know the backstory of my life in Hawaii, I grew up in Section 8 housing all the way till I was the age of 22. I moved to Vegas recently, and once I made that shift, I told myself I'm leaving everything behind. The clothes that I'm wearing, the friends that I had, the things that I have, I threw all of those, sold all of those, and by the time that I moved to Vegas, I was a different person. I changed my identity. I want to become someone new. I don't want my past to come with me to this new chapter of life that I'm bringing for myself. Because in order for me to succeed in any of those areas that we're talking about, I have to give up and, you know, push out the things that don't matter to me anymore. And in that case, those are useless to me, right? But the moral of the story here is once I moved to Vegas, I told myself everything has to change. I signed a lease on one of the nicest condo here in Vegas. And let me tell you, the environment in this condo, in this setting, is so different from what I was used to. The people here are more intellectual, sophisticated, respectful, and every time I go into the elevator, they greet me, ask me how my day is doing. A lot of these people are high net worth, meaning their jobs are, white collar jobs, or they're making a lot of money. The cars that they're driving, we see Lambos every single day, we see Ferraris, Teslas, BMWs, Benz. I rarely see any Toyotas or Prius in my parking lot. So that says a lot about your environment. And what that ultimately means is that environment really influenced the identity that I want to become, which is I want to be like the average of those people, or even better. Obviously, I want to be the best, right? But for me to be the best, I have to make sure I surround myself with people that will push me to become better or become like them. And this is the case with your environment. The type of content that you consume. Coming into here, you probably already learned a lot more than what you did from your friends, your family, or even in college, right? Just learning a little bit more about yourself and the deeper core level of why you do what you do today, that in itself is really powerful, right? So the type of content that you consume will ultimately affect your mood, which is your attitude. So you can see the second layer over here, your attitude towards any of the actions that you take, whether it's positive actions, negative actions, that is going to cascade or have a ripple effect as time goes by. So if you consume stupid content like watching Kim Kardashian or drama content, your attitude is going to be a bad attitude. And with that being said, you are most likely going to be like those people by, if you watch if all you do is listen to drama, you're probably someone that's going to be talking about drama over time. And is that going to benefit you in any area of your life? No, that ruins relationship, that takes up time, energy from the things that you don't have control over, and ultimately it's not going to give you any results over the course of your life. And as you can see, the more of those negative actions that you take, the more you can see a downturn of your life down the line. Vice versa, if you're someone that consumes good content only, powerful content that is actually going to benefit you and motivate you in life, right? And that's why I want to make sure the first step to change this is to unfollow anybody that isn't going to benefit you in your life anymore on Instagram, right? Whether it's your friend, the type of shit that they post, if you feel like they're always negative about something, that's probably going to influence your thoughts, especially because you are always on your phone. The type of content that you consume is really going to mess with the thoughts that you have, your belief system, and ultimately that's going to affect the attitude and actions and results over the course of your life. Even though you might not see it right away, over the course of maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to a year, you can see such an impactful change of where that content will take you. If you guys follow people that are actually doing something in life, that are killing it in business, that are also into fitness, health, relationships, what do you think that's going to ultimately lead you in life, right? Like I said, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. You are also the average of the content that you consume the most. The better the content that you consume, the better the people that you listen to, the higher level and more sophisticated individual that you align yourself with, that will ultimately impact the attitude that you have towards any of the actions that you take, towards any of the results that you're going to get, towards the lifestyle that you will potentially have in your life, right? Another way to look at it is, if you're in an environment of you're someone that's fat. Let's just say you're fat, right? I'm kind of fat too, and you're trying to lose weight. How do you set up or put yourself in a place where you have an advantage over everyone else, right? What normal people would do is, cool, they try to have willpower, try to be disciplined, right? By, telling themselves not to get that junk food in their refrigerator and whatnot. But that's truly not the case. There's only so much willpower that you can do in one day, and ultimately when that willpower leaves or actually goes down and you don't have no willpower left, you're probably gonna reach for that junk food and start eating it. Your advantage is to not even have those junk food around where you live in the first place, meaning that you don't even shop for it, that you leave nothing in your house except for carrots, celery, or anything that's considered a healthy snack, anything that is close proximity to you in terms of, like McDonald's, Burger King, etc. There's Burger King and McDonald's like 5 minutes away from me, so I get really tempted every single time, right? What I would do is, what did I do? Oh, I will actually call my credit card company and I will tell them to decline these specific merchant. So I actually block those merchant from my credit cards. So whenever I try to make a purchase, it will automatically decline it. So I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to getting those bad habits back into my life, because I don't have that I'm setting obstacles, I'm setting roadblocks in order for me to even get those bad habits back. Therefore, that allows me to creatively look for alternative to satisfy that demand in the first place by replacing it with something healthier. So in this case, which is the carrot and the health and the celery, right? Cool. Well, with that being said, you're also, growing up, we are sucked into this belief system where, we have limiting beliefs in the things that we do, right? So growing up, I never thought, being an average Joe, I'm gonna be rich like I am today. I wouldn't consider myself ultra rich, but I am in a way better position that I was in before. And this was ultimately because of my mindset and the way that I broke a lot of these limiting beliefs. The more that these limiting beliefs and what society is telling you, the more that you're going to start believing it and then actually incorporating those and implementing those in the lifestyle and the actions that you take. So in order for you to break free within those, you guys have to really write down all of your limiting beliefs and tell yourself that you guys can actually do it. So for example, I didn't know back then when I tried to get into consultant or financial consultant, nobody's going to take me serious because it's of my race, first and foremost. Like, I feel like being in the financial space, nobody will really take a young Asian kids advice when it comes to managing your finances, your credit, debt management, crypto, etc. Right? And that was one of the biggest limiting belief. And that really hold me back from becoming or letting my potential come out of becoming who I want to become, the best version of myself, right? So the way that I rewired my mindset is telling myself that it's bullshit, that because society told me that, and I can also see from the results that other people are getting. Once you see that someone is able to do it, that has very similar values and traits as you, it just builds up the confidence and really help you break through all of those belief systems, right? So for example, I would see kids on social media that are actually killing it doing consultant, and they were way younger than me. So that gave me extra conviction, confidence, and that I can do it for myself, and therefore it really lose a lot of those limiting beliefs that I had in the past, right? So, and also the best way for you to break it is just to take action. And if you feel like you don't have enough experience to do something that you want to do, whether it's a business, whether it's getting into a new hobby or sport, the only way that you can start seeing result is by taking action. Small actions compounded over time is going to make drastic changes to your life. And as you can see, this is what I mean, right? This is something that you guys have to truly take into heart, because I can see why a lot of people actually fail. They will here's the cycle. People will get extremely motivated. They will read all these motivation quotes, listen to all these podcasts, listen to all these, what's it called? Yeah, TED Talks, etc. Right? For a good 3 to 6 months. And they will take action, right? They would take action for another good 3 to 6 months, right? Like throughout the entire year. But they don't see any results, or they don't see any big changes happening to their business or themselves. And this is something that we call the value of disappointment. And this is also something that we can blame society, but also take ownership in. Because growing up, especially in the past 5 to 10 years, we live in a world of instant gratification. If you guys want to get something delivered to your house, you can do Instacart, which can get Costco delivered within 4 to 6 hours from the time that you order, right? If you want instant gratification, you can also search up anything that you might not know and get the answer right on the spot by going on Google, right? So we grew up in a world of instant gratification, so therefore we expect results to come faster than what's really realistic, right? And the truth of the reality is that anything that you do is going to take time. And that's something I have to understand as well for myself, because if I don't see results within the amount of effort and time that I put in, which is really minimum, I get really frustrated at myself. But I have to understand that this is a long-term game, that people in the past actually spent 3, 5, 10 years perfecting their business, perfecting their craft, or even growing and starting a business in order to see income coming in. Did you know 15 years ago, it typically take someone 2 or 3 years in business in order to even see profitability, right? And now we have kids in their 20s, which is not me, that are expecting to get into a course and see some sort of return on investment and results with minimum efforts within just the second week. How absurd is that, right? So this is why you guys have to truly understand this principle, the plateau of latent potential, and that while we do put in the effort of trying to grow our business, trying to grow ourselves, trying to develop it and have a better image of ourselves, it's not a linear curve, meaning we are going to dip below this line while having the positive habits, while still doing the little small consistent things over time. And as time goes by, what actually happens over here is, even though we don't see results, when we don't see results for, I don't know, let's say 3 or 4 months, a lot of people actually drop off. They question themselves. They question the things that they're doing. Why did I even invest into this program in the first place? Why did I even go to the gym every day? I don't see any sort of results. Because it's at this turning point where once you hit this turning point, once you understand that your daily habits compounds over time, and that it is going to take a lot of patience, and that there are going to be times that you're not going to see results, that once you hit this point, this is where you would drastically see an impact, a change happening, right? So a good example is we have Bob and we have Felix, for example. Felix is going to be the alpha guy in this example. But Bob, what's a good example? Okay, cool. Bob, let's use food and health, for example, right? We both are trying to get a six-pack. While Bob, like, he's eating healthy, but there are times where, 2 days out of the week, he decided to do a cheat meal, or at the end of every single night, he would, eat chocolate. Because what is a chocolate bar gonna do to you if, a small chocolate bar gonna do to you? Like, how much of an impact would that have to your health, right? And then there's me, on the other hand, where I just cut off completely all the junk food, and over time, we both start at point A over here, and this will be point B, right? Point A over here, and then point B will be either go up or go down, right? So as time goes by, while he eats his chocolate bar every single day, while he still eats clean, but on certain days he eats junk food. And then there's me, on the other hand, which is considered the alpha. I eat straight up clean. I don't eat any junk food, etc., right? There's not going to be any significant changes or difference between our images or even our body in the first 6 or 8 months. But there are going to be a time where those chocolate and those cheat meals that he has adds up all together, where after a year down the line, you can see that he has an extra layer of fat coming out of his body, right? And that is essentially where it compounds over time based on these bad habits that you have. And while you don't notice it, those small little bad habits that you have every single day, it's going to add up over time. And by the time that you realize it, it's really hard to change. So this is why being aware of what those habits are, what influence those attitude to make those habits happen, and then the philosophy behind it, what influenced that, and switching up the system will put you at advantage over everyone else. And this is why 95% of the people fail, and why only 5% of the people that are doing this succeed, right? So all in all, your behaviors are a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indication of the person you believe you are, either consciously or unconsciously. So your identity, which is your philosophy and the attitude, is the core of everything. The process in itself, the next layer, is the actions and, you can say, your attitude that you take. And then within the action and the attitude, this become your outcome, which is the results and the lifestyle that you have for all aspects of your life. All right. So a good exercise that I like to do is I like to take the belief system, the values, the principles of two of the biggest role models that I look up to, right? So if you guys don't know Bobby Axelrod, he's a fictional character in the Billions, but after watching the season, actually watching the show 3 times already, I fell in love with who I want to become, which is Bobby Axelrod. I want to take some of his traits, some of his values, put it together within my identity. I will also take Chamath Palihapitiya, which is one of the greatest fund manager out there, also a co-owner of the Golden State Warriors. I want to take his belief, his values, his principles, put it into my identity. And now everything that I do, every little habit, every little thing that I do when it comes to, every little thing that I do from this point on, I have to make sure that it aligns with my identity with these two individuals. So for example, the way that I walk, right? I want to perceive as someone that has confidence, because these are guys that also has confidence in the way that they do their things in their world, right? So little things like, standing straight, having having good eye contact, putting your head up, that demonstrates confidence. And every time, every time they make a decision, I would subconsciously remind myself, how would Chamath or how would Bobby Axelrod make their decision based on the research that I did for them, right? The morals, the values, at the end of the day, that's what you want to do, right? So for example, Chamath, he's passionate for risk. He likes to make decisions under pressure. So every time I take risks, I will want to make sure that I'm under pressure and that I make the best and most effective decision before moving forward, right? Another thing that I learned from him is something called intellectual curiosity. People that ask a lot of why questions and they're comfortable with the ambiguous nature of things that are unknown. That's why they are so smart the way that they are today. And at the end of the day, he's a great speaker. And while my communication is not the best, this is something that I know he truly values, and that in order to become the person that he is, I have to attach my identity to his value or his trait, which is being a great speaker. Because then that will help me build my confidence, that will help me build a great team, that will help me encourage people and get my message across as simple as possible, and something that people can comprehend and take action on and being influenced by, right? And then on the other hand, Bobby Axelrod, he is an alpha male that likes to keep his composure during pressure. He doesn't like to show any or be reactive, show any emotions. So every time I'm under pressure, I make sure I don't show any sort of emotions. I make sure that I'm non-reactive, because that is one of the best traits that these guys have, right? I'm obsessed with winning, refuse to take any losses in business or in relationships, and I carefully plan out or put in my contract and conversation markers and points to prove he is always up one on whoever he is talking to, etc. All right, so this is the last part, meaning that you always have an edge before the conversation even initiated, meaning you've done the research on that person, you know exactly what that person wants, and you're coming in with information that the other person might not have about you, therefore giving you a way to communicate a lot better and knowing exactly what they want, therefore leading the conversation and you being in charge of that. Moving forward, goal setting versus system of habits. The best way to achieve what we want in life, getting into better shape, building a successful business, relaxing more and worrying less, spending more time with friends and family, is to set specific actionable goals. And for many years, this is how I approach my habits too. Each one was a goal to be reached. I set goals for the grades I wanted in school, for the weights I wanted to lift in the gym, the profits I want to earn in the business. And while I succeeded at a few, I failed at a lot of them. Eventually, I began to realize that my results have very little to do with the goals that I set and nearly everything to do with the system that I follow. So what does that mean? For example, if you're a coach, As you can see the example over here, your goal might to win a championship. Your system is the way that you recruit players, manage your assistant coach, and conduct practices. If you're an entrepreneur, your goal might be building $1 million business, and your system is how you test product ideas, hire employees, and run marketing campaigns. And if you are a musician, your goal might to play a nice piece, and your system is how you often practice, how you break down and tackle difficult measures, and your method for receiving feedback from an instructor. Now, for the interesting question, if you completely ignore all your goals and focus only on the systems on the right part of this chart, would you still succeed? So for example, if you are a basketball coach and you ignore your goal to win a championship and focus only on what your team does at practice every day, would you still get results? And the truth of that matter is you would. The goal in any sport is to finish with the best score, but it would be ridiculous to spend the whole game staring at the scoreboard. The only way to actually win is to get better each and every single day. And in the words of Bill Walsh, the score takes care of itself, and the same applies for every other areas of life. If you want better results, then forget about setting goals. Focus on building the system instead. So what do I mean by this? Are your goals completely useless? Of course not. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. A handful of problems arise when you spend too much time thinking about your goals and not enough time designing your system. And here are 4 problems why setting goals are not the most efficient way to achieve the things that you want in life. Number 1 is because winners and losers have the same goals. Goal setting suffers from a serious case of survivorship bias, and we concentrate on the people who end up winning, the survivors, and mistakenly assume that ambitious goals lead to success while overlooking all the people who had the same objective but doesn't succeed. So, for example, every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get a job, and every successful and unsuccessful people share the same goal. Then the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners and the losers. The goal has always been there. It was only when they implemented a system of continuous small improvements that they achieved a different outcome. Problem number 2 is that achieving a goal is only a momentary change. Imagine you have a messy room and you set a goal to clean it. If you summon the energy to tidy up and you start cleaning your room for now, but if you maintain the same sloppy and habits in the first place that led to a messy room, soon you'll be looking at the same pile of clutter and hoping for another burst of motivation for you to clean that room. You're left chasing the same outcome because you never changed the belief system behind it, or even the habits and the action that led to that thing in the first place. You treated a symptom without addressing the cause. Achieving a goal only changes your life for the moment, and that is very counterintuitive thing about improvement. We think we need to change our results, but the results are not the problem. The problem is the system and the habits behind those results. When you solve problems at the results level, you only solve them temporarily. In order to improve for good, you need to solve problems at the system level, fix the input, and the output will later fix themselves. And then lastly, goals are at odds with long-term progress. A goal-oriented mindset can create a yo-yo effect. Many runners work hard for months, but as soon as they cross the finish line, they stop training. The race is no longer there to motivate them. When all of your hard work is focused on a particular goal, what is left to push you forward after achieving it? And this is why many people find themselves reverting to their old habits after accomplishing a goal. The purpose of setting goal is to win the game. The purpose of building system is to continue playing the game for longevity purposes. And the true long-term thinking is goal-less thinking. It's not about any single accomplishment. It's about the cycle of endless refinement and continuous improvements. Ultimately, it is your commitment to the process that will determine your progress. So this is why you see a lot of people doing 75 hard. Cool. They have a goal to meet. They have this campaign that they want to be part of, which is the 75 Hard campaign by Andy Frisella. And while they took the initiative and changed up the habits of what those rules imply, after that 75 days is over, they revert back to their old habits. And I see a lot of my friends doing that, which completely makes no difference in your life. It makes a temporarily different, a slight change for the first couple months because of that metric that you have to hit. And once you get that dopamine, that rush of accomplishment, you have nothing else to look forward to, right? You accomplish that, so you feel like you don't need to stay disciplined in order to keep that course going down the line. So this is what I'm trying to imply here. So in order for us to truly get amazing results, we have to take the old system that we have and we have to build it into a new system, like this motherfucking robotic dog that looks a lot better than this ancient bullcrap machinery on the left. Meaning your input, which is the environment, the type of content that you consume, the people that you listen to, the people that you surround yourself with, that has to completely change for the better. And this means that you have to completely get rid of all of that fucking little components that adds up to this system that looks like this bull crap, and then replace it with things that will make it look like you're a fucking dog. Replacing it with this new system. Cool? Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Your homework is to print out and fill in the 90 years in human life worksheet, read the Slight Edge, and read the Atomic Habits book. And then before we end this video, there is going to be another 20-minute video that would amplify everything that I stated within this video, just so you have a deeper understanding and more conviction on why I am teaching and making you guys go through this part of the course and program. With that being said,
do you ever feel like you're just floating through life, but not actually getting closer to the person that you want to be? It usually happens around New Year's. You imagine all the bad habits you're going to break free from and all the good habits you will begin. This time it will be different, you say to yourself. This time I am going to do the things that I say I will, only to end up back where you began shortly after and no closer to what you had envisaged. So the question is, how do you break free from bad habits and make the habits you desire easier and automatic? Atomic Habits by James Clear answers all these questions. We're going to be doing a fast-paced, detailed summary of the book and dive deep into topics like habit loops, dopamine spikes, priming your environment, plus heaps more. And make sure you stick around until the end of the video where I go through step by step how I'm personally using this book to improve my own habits. I hope this summary inspires you to go out and grab a copy of the book for yourself, because this book deserves a space on everyone's bookshelf. Let's jump into it. Imagine a plane taking off and traveling from New York to Los Angeles. Just before takeoff, you adjust the plane just slightly by 3 degrees or around 80 inches. If you were to keep flying in a straight line, you would end up closer to Tijuana in Mexico than in your intended destination of Los Angeles. And the same goes for our habits. Tiny changes in our habits can change the trajectory of our lives in ways that we can't even notice until many years into the future looking back, in both good ways and bad. You are your habits. The power of Atomic Habits. A slight change in your daily habits can guide your life to a very different destination. Massive action versus 1% improvements. Far too often we convince ourselves that massive success is only possible through massive action in any goal we are pursuing. We expect ourselves to make some quantum leap or momentous improvement that will gain others' attention. However, it is the tiny improvements that aren't even noticeable at first that create incredible change. Let's look deeper into the math. 1% better every day for a year will compound to 37 times better, but 1% worse every day over a year will bring you close to zero. Your habits can compound against you in the form of things like stress or negative self-talk, or they can compound for you in the form of things like knowledge, productivity, skills, and relationships. Success is the product of daily habits, not once-in-a-lifetime transformations. The truth about progress. When you start any endeavor in your life, here is what you think should happen: linear progress. But here is what actually happens. Notice this section here in the beginning. Small changes in our progress are not even noticeable. James Clear refers to this part of the graph as the valley of disappointment. You've done so much, you've put in so much effort, and you can barely see any results. This is where most people fail and slip back into their old routines. The most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed, so patience is required. Goals versus systems. Forget about goals, focus on systems instead. A goal is the result you want to accomplish. Systems deal with processes that lead to the results. The conventional wisdom suggests that the best way to achieve anything we want in life, be it getting into better shape, building a successful business, or spending more time with family, is to set specific, realistic goals. But if you completely ignored your goals and focused only on your systems, would you still succeed? The author of this book argues that you would. Here are some problems with only having goals. Successful and unsuccessful people share the same goals, so therefore the goal cannot be what differentiates winners from losers. Achieving a goal only changes your life for that moment in time. Goals can create an either-or conflict. Either you achieve the goal and succeed, or you don't and you're a failure, even if you are making progress in the right direction. When you achieve a goal, what do you do after? If your goal was running the local marathon, chances are after completing it, your motivation will quickly fade and you will just slip back into your old routines. Goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. A system of atomic habits. The problem with changing your habits is not you. The reason why you repeat the same bad habits for so long isn't because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system for change. Atomic habits are small routines and behaviors that accumulate to produce incremental positive outcomes over time. Big breakthroughs tend to get more attention than small improvements, but what really matters are the little daily decisions and actions we take. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. There are 3 layers to behavior change. The first layer is changing outcomes, the result. Losing that weight, writing that book, or winning the season. The outcomes are what you get. The second layer is changing your process, what you do, the new workout routine, or developing a daily reading habit. And the third layer is changing your identity, what you believe, your worldviews, and how you think about yourself and others. Most people focus on the outcomes, but the best way to change your habits is by focusing on the person you want to become instead of the results that you want. The goal isn't to learn an instrument, it's to become a musician. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. When something you want in your life becomes part of your identity, that is when your behaviors will start to naturally change. When you tell yourself and others, "I'm a runner," you want to live up to that identity. Remind yourself, every time you do a workout, you are an athlete. Every time you write a line of code, you are a programmer. And each time you instruct your team, you are a leader. The habit loop. A habit is when something becomes repeated enough times that it becomes automatic. Ultimately, we want our habits to solve problems in our lives with the least amount of effort. A habit is formed and reinforced by means of a continuous feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. The key to creating habits that stick is to create feedback loops that are continuously being improved. Cue, phone buzz. Craving, want to know who messaged. Response, pick up the phone. Reward, solve the problem of who messaged. Cue, mind goes blank at work. Craving, want to alleviate the frustration. Response, check social media. Reward, satisfy the need to feel less frustrated. Over time, rewards become associated with cues. So in this example, checking social media becomes tied to your mind going blank at work. And then checking Facebook may be the cue to check Instagram, which becomes the cue to watch YouTube. And before you know it, your mind going blank cue has led to 20 minutes of wasted time. And the more you repeat these habit loops, the stronger and more automatic they become. Cues can really be anything: a smell, a sound, a sight, a person, a location. Try to think of any cues in your daily life that are initiating your good or bad habit loops. So how can we influence the habit loop to work for us? This book shows us the 4 laws that will guide us to do just that. Law 1. Make it obvious. Most of your current habits are so automatic that you don't even realize them. You must first become aware of your habits before you can change them. You can achieve that with your habit scorecard. Write down all your daily behaviors on a habit scorecard, from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. Your scorecard may look something like this. Based on whether it helps you become the person you aspire to be, categorize each habit as positive, negative, or neutral. At this stage, we aren't trying to change anything, but just observe what is actually going on in our daily lives. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Vagueness is a real problem when it comes to habit formation, and studies have shown that quite often the reason people fail to stick to a habit is not because of a lack of motivation, but because of a lack of clarity. One day I will get into shape is easy to say to yourself, but too vague to get any momentum. What you need is a time and a place. The most common cues, time and location, will help you achieve your goals. Clearly state your intention to act using the following formula. I will behavior at time in this location. Here is a bad example. I will read more this month. Here is a good example. I will read a book for 15 minutes daily at 6 a.m. in the spare bedroom. Another good way to get a habit started is by habit stacking. To stack habits, tie a desired habit to an existing habit according to the following formula. After current habit, I will new habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will stretch for 5 minutes. You can stack habits together. For example, after you finish brushing your teeth, you will meditate for 10 minutes and then plan the rest of your day before checking social media. A chain of habits is more likely to be sustained if you practice this consistently. Choosing the correct trigger is essential. You need a trigger cue. Your trigger should be something that you do automatically without fail during your day, such as waking up, turning off your alarm, or brushing your teeth. James Clear tells us in the book that motivation is highly overrated. You can better shape your behavior by designing your environment. We are more influenced by our environment than our willpower or motivation. It's hard to stick with positive habits in a negative environment. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Creating a habit requires you to redesign the space around you to 1. Make it easier to see the cues for the desired habits, and 2. Avert bad habits by making them invisible. If you want to drink more water, make the cues visible and obvious. Place water bottles around the house in places you are likely to see them. Want to read more? Place the book somewhere where you'll see it. And if you want to get better on guitar, don't leave it out of sight in the closet. Context is the cue. Objects in the environment do not determine our behavior, rather it is our relationship to them that does. Stop seeing your environment as a place simply filled with objects. Imagine it as a place filled with relationships. The couch in the living room is the place where one person reads an hour a night. For another, the couch is where they watch Netflix and eat pizza and relax after work. If your relationship with the couch is a place to relax, then trying to get a work-related task done in that environment may be difficult. Try to make separate zones in your house for different activities. The author likes to use the mantra, one space, one use. If you're trying to eliminate a bad habit, you can only rely on self-control in the short term. Cutting off bad habits at the source is a more reliable solution, and one of the most practical ways to eliminate a bad habit is to make it invisible. Eliminate it from your environment. For example, put your phone in another room for a few hours if you have trouble getting work done. Or put junk food out of sight or remove it from your house if you're trying to lose weight. Law 2. Make it attractive. When we expect to be rewarded, we take action. The more rewarding an action is, the more likely we are to repeat it until it becomes a habit. Hence, the first step to forming good habits is to make them more attractive. Understanding how dopamine affects your body will help you. Dopamine. Our motivation levels are affected by dopamine, a hormone and neurotransmitter. We are more motivated to act when our dopamine levels rise. By measuring dopamine, scientists can pinpoint the exact moment at which craving occurs. It was once assumed that dopamine was just about pleasure, but now we know it's vital to many neurological functions, including motivation, memory, learning, punishment, as well as voluntary movement. The hormone dopamine is released not only when we experience pleasure, but also when we anticipate it. Gambling addicts have a dopamine spike right before they place a bet, not after they win. Let's dive deeper into dopamine spikes. Using social media, eating junk food, and taking drugs are all associated with high levels of dopamine and are highly habit-forming. Think about before going on a vacation. Sometimes the thinking and anticipation of the vacation is better than the actual vacation. Seeing the junk food you desire surges dopamine, not after eating it. Drug addicts increase dopamine when they see the drugs, not after taking them. The craving is what causes us to take action in the first place. Making a habit attractive is vital because it is the expectation of a rewarding experience that drives us to act. Here you can use a strategy known as temptation bundling. The temptation bundling process makes a habit more attractive by combining an action we need to do with one that we want to do. For example, you could bundle watching Netflix, something you want to do, with working out, something you need to do. Temptation bundling applies a psychology principle known as Premack's principle. Developed by Professor David Premack, the Premack principle states, more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. In other words, even if you're not looking forward to doing some exercise, you become conditioned to do it because you get to do something else you really enjoy. Group influence. We are continually wondering, what will others think of me, and altering our behavior based on the answer. We are influenced by the people closest to us and the groups that we belong to. If you're trying to build a good habit, one of the best ways to reinforce the habit is to find and become part of a culture where that habit is the norm. If you want to get into better shape, surround yourself with fit people. If you want to read more, join a book club. Primal motivators, the source of cravings. In your normal everyday life, you wouldn't say something to yourself like, I want to eat pizza because I need to consume this food to survive. Surface level cravings are merely manifestations of our deeper underlying motives, and these underlying motives guide our behavior. Here are some examples from the book of underlying motives: conserving energy, obtaining food and water, finding love and reproducing, connecting and bonding with others, winning social acceptance and approval, reducing uncertainty, achieving status and prestige. Your brain did not evolve with a desire to smoke cigarettes, check Instagram every 5 minutes, or to play video games. Online platforms and products do not invent new motivations, but rather appeal to the underlying motives of human nature that we already have to gain our attention. Your habits are modern-day solutions to ancient desires, new versions of old vices. The underlying motives behind human behavior remain the same. People who have the underlying motive of connecting with others may jump onto Facebook. Others seeking the underlying motive of finding love and reproducing may sign up for Tinder. If you want to reduce uncertainty, there's Google for that. And seeking social acceptance, there's Instagram. Reprogramming your brain to enjoy hard habits. You can make hard habits more attractive if you can learn to associate them with a positive experience. By highlighting the benefits of a habit rather than its downsides, you can quickly reprogram your mind and make it seem more appealing. For example, fitness equals health and well-being and not fatigue. Cleaning the house, an environment conducive to peace of mind and not wasted time. Saving money, future financial freedom and not sacrifice. Make it unattractive. To break a bad habit, do the same but highlight the benefits of not doing that habit to make it as unattractive to keep doing as possible. Law 3. Make it easy. How long does it actually take to form a new habit? During habit formation, a behavior becomes increasingly automatic as it is repeated. As you repeat an activity, your brain changes in order to become more efficient at doing it. Long before neuroscientists dug into the process of forming habits, repetition was known as a powerful tool for establishing habits. You activate particular neural circuits associated with habits every time you repeat them. So framing habit formation in terms of time is flawed. It should be framed in terms of number of repetitions. Reducing friction, the law of least effort. The more energy required, the less likely it is to happen. It takes almost no energy to get into the habit of reading 1 page of a book each day. Habits are more likely to occur when they require less energy. The bigger the obstacle, the more friction there is between you and the desired outcome. If you need to travel 20 minutes out of your way to go to your gym, chances are you will not. But if your gym is located on your commute to work, you will greatly decrease the friction. By making your good habits more convenient, you're more likely to stick to them. Your life will be easier if you find ways to reduce friction rather than trying to solve it. In order to build better habits, we have to find ways to reduce friction associated with our good habits and increase friction associated with our bad habits. Priming the environment for use. By automating or setting up your environment, you can reduce the friction for future action. For example, I will lay out my workout clothes the night before, so when I get up, I can get moving in the morning. Or to prepare a healthier breakfast, place the pan on the stove, cooking spray on the counter, and gather the ingredients the night before. Again, to reduce any friction. Using the 2-minute rule to stop procrastinating. Using the 2-minute rule can help you establish small habits that will lead to success in bigger ones. Find a simple 2-minute version of your desired habit. You want to scale down your desired outcome. Running a marathon becomes putting on your shoes and stretching for 2 minutes. Reading an hour per day becomes reading 1 page. You need to get the routine anchored in place and then slowly build up the difficulty. After you've mastered the 2-minute habit, you can progress to the next phase. To make something more difficult, think about ways you can create barriers of friction between yourself and the bad habit. Make it as impractical as possible. If you want to watch less TV, unplug the TV after each use and put the remote in an inconvenient location. When you go shopping, leave your credit cards under the seat of the car if you have a bad habit of spontaneous spending. Do anything you can to make your bad habits less likely to occur. Law 4. Make it satisfying. The most important rule of behavior change. A feeling of pleasure is a message to the brain, this feels good, let's repeat this next time. When you experience pleasure, your brain learns that behavior is worth remembering and repeating. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The first 3 laws increase your chances of doing the habit this time. The last law increases your chances of repeating the habit next time. The mismatch between immediate and delayed returns. It is common for us to feel good about our immediate results, but bad about our long-term outcomes when we practice bad habits. It is the opposite with good habits. The immediate result is unpleasant, but the ultimate outcome is satisfying. A certain amount of success in just about every field involves ignoring an immediate reward for the long-term one. It is best to add a little immediate pleasure to the habits that will pay off in the long run, and a little pain to those that don't. The vital thing in getting a habit to stick is to feel successful. Even if it's in a small way, the feeling of success is a signal that your habit paid off and the work was worth the effort. It is satisfying to make progress, and you can monitor your progress using visual measures such as moving paper clips, hairpins, or marbles. These little wins can go a long way. For example, for each sales call you make today, move a marble from 1 jar to the complete jar. For each 25 minutes of writing, move a paper clip. Visual measurements can take many forms: diet journals, workout logs, download progress bars, or even page numbers in a book. Keeping a habit tracker may be the best method to monitor your progress. Using a habit tracker is a simple way to determine whether you did a particular habit. Tracking becomes a reward in and of itself. Crossing a task off your to-do list, completing an entry in your exercise log, or writing an X on the calendar is satisfying. In spite of your best efforts, it is inevitable that life will interrupt you at some point. A bad day at work, a bad performance, or a bad workout can happen to anyone. When you're having a bad day, you don't realize how valuable it is to just show up. Lost days hurt you more than successful days help you. Don't break the chain. Every time you cross a day off your calendar for a given habit, you are creating a chain. Showing up is so important. Missing 2 days or links in a row is the start of a bad habit. Even if you usually do 50 push-ups, just do 10 on that given day if that means not breaking the chain. Breaking a bad habit. Make it unsatisfying. A behavior is less likely to occur when pain is immediate. Being held accountable by a partner is a good way to keep your desired habits in check. We all want to be liked and respected, so we would rather just avoid the punishment that we will be held accountable to. For example, I owe you $10 every time I miss a workout, plus the respect I lose for failing to do what I said I would. Your behavior is more likely to be influenced by concrete and immediate consequences. The habit contract. You can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable, just as governments use laws to hold citizens accountable. You can create a habit contract either verbally or in writing, which makes it clear that you will honor a particular habit, and there will be punishments if you do not. You can then use your accountability partners to enforce this contract. Okay, so it's one thing to read a book, but another to actually apply it to your life. So I'm going to try and visually represent how I've personally been using this book to build systems around my habits the past few months. After you guys read the book, maybe your approach will be different than mine or much better, or maybe there are some parts that I completely missed or could improve upon. So do let me know in the comments below. The good habits I wanted to develop were more consistent workout and reading routines. The bad habit I wanted to eliminate was becoming distracted and over-consuming social media. First, I completed the habit scorecard. This gave me a good idea of habits I could try to eliminate, but more importantly, it gave me an idea of daily habits I was already doing that I could stack my new habits with. Ultimately, when you find the habits you want to work on, you want to be pushing the desired good habits towards this side of the spectrum and the bad habits towards this side. For the working out habit, the first step was to make the cues more obvious, and I had a few tools that I could use from the book. In this case, I used what James Clear calls the implementation strategy. So I will work out at 6 a.m. in the living room. Next, I tried as best I could to design my environment conducive to this new habit. I took my dumbbell set out of the closet and I put them in the living room. I also found a few pictures of healthy physiques on the internet and put them in places around the house as cues that would remind me of the habit. Next, I moved on to the craving phase. So to increase dopamine and motivation, I bundled the workout with listening to some of my favorite podcasts, and I also implement reprogramming of the brain. So I tell myself repeatedly, I don't have to do a workout, but I get to build strength and a healthier body. And that subtle shift in mindset has gone a long way. Ideally, joining a gym or finding a group of people to work out with would be even better to strengthen this habit. But unfortunately, all the gyms are closed where I live, so I'm kind of on my own, and these two tools will have to suffice for the moment. Next, making it easy. Using the 2-minute rule to make sure that I don't end up like most people starting a new habit that try to do too much too soon. I want my habit to not feel like a challenge at all. So my 2-minute rule was putting on my workout clothes and stretching. And if that was the only thing that I accomplished, then that was fine because I showed up. But you will quickly find that once you are there, you are now motivated to get the workout done. So it is weird, but the motivation seems to come after you get the habit started. My mindset is focused on small 1% changes, compounding into meaningful results, and that my systems will get me the results and not vague goals. Remembering that my main focus at this point is just making sure that I show up and start anchoring this habit in place. And once you are consistently showing up, you can increase the progression. To decrease friction, I made the rule that I'm not allowed to check my phone until the workout was complete. If I get distracted by emails or social media, it is one excuse and one step of friction between myself and the workout getting completed. Lastly, this was a game changer for me, priming the environment. When I place my shoes, yoga mat, and dumbbells out the night before, I skyrocket my show up and workout percentage. As soon as I place these items out the night before, I feel like the ritual has begun and the workout is already complete because I have zero excuses. So with those 3 phases of the loop systemized to get me to show up, I only had the last phase of the loop left, which was to make sure I keep repeating the habit. I use both of these tools somewhat together to close out the loop. I use a habit tracker. Crossing the day off the calendar becomes the reward, and it also forces me to not want to break the chain. I also take a picture of my calories that I burnt and I send that picture to my partner, and that also increases the satisfaction. Mindset-wise, I begin with identity, and I remind myself after each workout that I want to become the kind of person that enjoys fitness and doesn't miss workouts. I don't put all my focus on outcomes such as I want to be 10 kilograms lighter by such and such a date. And I also remind myself that I need to be patient for the results, and that I'm probably still somewhere in this valley of disappointment before I will see those results. I went through the same process with the reading habit with a few minor changes. So I used the habit stack. After making a coffee, I will read for 90 minutes. So making a coffee was my trigger cue for reading. My one space, one use rule was reading on the balcony of the apartment. One of the best parts of my day is a nice cup of coffee in the morning, so this was the perfect thing for me to bundle my reading habit with. Remembering how dopamine raises in anticipation of a reward and not the reward itself, I wanted this dopamine spike for wanting coffee to start becoming associated with reading. My 2-minute rule was to read 1 page of The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday. Super simple. Again, in the beginning, all I was concerned with was showing up and getting this habit anchored. Then I slowly built up the habit to 90 minutes. For the bad habit I was trying to eliminate, to make the habit invisible, I started by making my phone as boring as I possibly could, which required deleting a lot of apps. I used the reprogramming tool to highlight the unattractive side of over-consuming social media, telling myself things like, consuming is the easy and lazy option of the masses, and do I want to be a consumer or a producer? Random scrolling through feeds is for losers. So you want to try and paint your bad habit in a light that makes it super unattractive to keep doing. To increase friction, I left my phone in a drawer in another room, so completely out of sight. And to make it unsatisfying, I have an accountability partner. I get my partner to enforce this habit. The punishment is if she sees me using social media during work time, I owe her $10. So that is how I've been using this fantastic book, guys, to get great results so far. Go out and grab a copy of this book for yourself if you haven't already. You're going to take in the knowledge at a much deeper level from all the stories and examples that James Clear gives you in the book, as well as some advanced techniques which we didn't cover in the summary that will help you strengthen your habits. Good luck in your journey. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.